Good things happen to good people. So I know that I want to ask a couple questions to get us going, but we really want this to be just a conversation. And please, I'll prime the pump, and Alexis actually has something to read to start us off, but we'll invite you all to just converse if you wish to about Alexis's journey in her art. And that was my first question, is just asking you to share a little bit about your journey into art, because it has been considerable.
It has been through the auspices of government. It has been through voc rehab, therapy, social workers, people that I can't understand how people can forget themselves and live to work for other people. I can't understand that at all. But here it is, and today we're celebrating something about a way of life that is generally synonymous with useless, which is schizophrenia, which is what we are celebrating here tonight. And if you can hang in long enough, it'll come. If you have a gift, it's there because it was put there by life for a good reason. It's what makes us more than the sum of our parts. This was written for Counterpoint, and so glad I'm here and not in New York or Boston.
So are we.
Yeah. For ourselves as well as
you. I hope that nobody that shouldn't know about Vermont ever finds out about Vermont. And then I said that to someone, and he looked at me, oh, yeah. Well, when winters call them out, you know. So here we are. And 30 years in Vermont, 50 years in the system, and here we are. There is a purpose hidden to be discovered. It is ourselves, and the mission is to take what we have been dealt and given at our entry into life and transform it to peace. The darkness is very, very real. But it is not what we are. We are full of light, made of light. To see our purpose, just like outer space, as a constant transformation of darkness into light, and to tame and transform the thoughts and emotions that rip through us, take the darkness and turn it to light. To see myself as light, not as my illness. When we are cut off from what we perceive as life that others have, that we can never experience, that is when we realize that something is missing, that there is a purpose very important to fulfill, that we sense as missing and impossible to ever have. But the thing is that if we can sense it, it is there, within. Within my soul is the answer. For me, it is the art. I came down with the illness at 7 years of age. At 4, we knew what I was. talent was plain to see. But it took 26 years to even begin taking steps toward what I loved so deeply. Before that, hospital after hospital, and being given wonderful professional art materials and not going near them. One day I was called to voc rehab. I went in and said, "What did I do wrong?" They said, "Nothing. You're going to school for fine art." Of all things, fine art. What does the pursuit of happiness have to do with governing a nation? I was 26, I am now 69. It was not smooth sailing all the way. I dropped out of school several times and still don't have a degree. But just as the illness taught me values that many people don't have any inkling of, I know my purpose. My family formed me. 4 generations of women, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mother and her aunt, her sister, and myself. When I was 31, my family threw me out of its house. They had to. I was raging and had been raging all my life against life, against my illness. It could have ended in never coming out of that rage and destruction, or at best, a life without accomplishment or anything to show for it. The family that gave me the disposition to illness also gave me the way out of it. The example of my aunt, who had every reason to hate my grandmother. In my grandmother's old age, my aunt on the floor, before my grandmother, helping with her healing hands, relieving and tending to her feet. In a culture that won't take responsibility for itself, my family taught me radical forgiveness, how to own myself, how to forgive. That is the factor that made my recovery possible. Pride was the next battle. Knowing the mind of the universe and how deeply I myself was forgiven and loved, how immersed I am in its life, and how safe I am because of its strength, I could rest. Not threatened by my illness and not coming out of that illness, but out of the strength and wholeness within me, through and with life and wanting health, identifying with the maturity of forgiveness, forgiving totally, and forgiving myself. Wellness was the result. I am now 69 and am just beginning to live in the power of forgiveness, both for myself and for the wrongs suffered, the freedom of true adulthood, and taking responsibility for my own happiness, of forgiving. I love to paint and sculpt and write. I was equipped with the answer to the void. I lose myself and find wellness. I risk, I go toward a dream and find reality. An incredible happening beyond our fathoming is taking place. Constant transformation from darkness to light. And it comes through each person's surrender. You have to surrender, or you won't be open to the healing. won't be open unless you surrender.
Thank you, Alexis. So I have questions after listening to that, and I though wonder if you do, and I would extend first to see if anyone has anything in particular they want to ask Alexis.
I got a question. It's more of a, I'd just be interested to know if you could have a cup of tea or coffee or Coke, whatever you like to drink, with anybody, living or dead, who would it be? and why?
What do you mean?
Well, if you could have a conversation with anybody, you know, an artist or
César.
Yeah, and why?
Oh, look at why. Are you kidding? I talk to Van Gogh all the time.
That's the beauty of the illness.
I pray to Matisse.
So,
You don't have to have them there to talk to them.
no, that's true.
It depends. Well, having been there, Sandy, you know, you gotta keep it hidden, you know? You can't go around broadcasting.
When you go to start a work, Alexis, what is it that inspires you in the moment to do that particular?
The canvas before.
Just the canvas, just the blank canvas?
No, it's inner. It's
Okay.
an inward surge that has to happen. 30 years have been documented in a 3-room apartment. And what made the difference? I don't know. I remember the people I left behind on the wards. I remember them all the time. All the time. 2 years on a chronic ward in a state mental hospital. All I had was a brown paper bag with a paper and pencil and a brand new down coat. And that was it. And I went around sketching the inmates. And trusting life. When you are confronted by all the ills of life, you have to have a background of trust. You have to have a background of the experience of the Spirit. Because that was all that got me, that made the difference, I think. Life is invested in us. And the illness is an aberration from life. And life won't let that happen. You'll battle, that's for sure, you'll battle. But with the experience of life as a friend, you'll make it.
Where did that attitude about life come from? Did that come from your family?
Yes, it did. It did. My great-grandmother, Irene, matriarchy, Orthodox Christianity. I wrote something about how my family it was like an Old Testament story. You know, she fled the Turks in 1918. And they brought their faith with them. My great-grandmother founded one of the first churches in America. And the priest once asked me, you know, like, what is your family about with the church? I told him, he said, oh, that explains it.
That's Greek Orthodox, right?
Yeah, or Russian.
Yeah.
Or now we have the American Orthodox Church as well. And you're welcome at any service you would like to attend. But the beauty of that, the experience of that, I was very, very ill. I was very ill. My poor grandmother, Theodora, we loved each other. Every time our heads came within the vicinity of each other, I heard bells, you know. And I had been really not well for quite a while. And I had just returned to the church, and I came into the house, and my grandmother looked at me and said, "Doxa Theou," which means glory to God. I'm telling you, I saw the heavens open up. It's a reality. It's a, you know, but the thing is that it's not in a box. It's not circumscribed the way that we want it to be, because we're afraid of the full power of life. And God is a person, you know. Anyway, that's my opinion, Agatha.
Sarah has a question. Are you on it? You want me to? Me too.
The question?
Alana wondered if you found yourself more inspired to make art when you're feeling well or when you're not.
It was constant, but when I didn't, I was giving in to the obstacles that you have to give. Somebody spoke about obsessions. Where is, he's not here. You have to be obsessed in order to be an artist. The thing is that you have to take that obsession and turn it into flowers or nudes.
Nudes. Oh, I bet you were chairs. Or chairs.
You have to be obsessed, or you're not an artist. And it's a journey through the inner miasma. That's it. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the craziness.
Sarah, I think you had a question.
So this is on top of Alana's question. How did your art help in your recovery?
Well, people kept telling me, they sent me to school. And it was not just one or two people, it was a parade of people. From 1968, I was in the system. Actually, I had been ill from 7 years of age. And the thing that got me out of my illness was doing the art, because the illness will tell you it's impossible. That's what I read here, you know, like, you'll never experience that. You'll never have anything like that. I don't know, the same as I don't know how all of this happened. tonight. Doing my Zen, you know. But the illness, Alana, through our gift, becomes wellness. And that's what gifts are about. Your gift, Alana, keep doing it.
Alexis, as I look around the room at these different types of paintings with your faces and figures and chairs, is this a bit of a timeline of your evolution through? And could you tell us a bit if that's the
well,
case?
first of all, I'm not aware of that.
That's a good thing.
So I don't know. It's not, the work, you have to work in order to be an artist. You have to do your art in order to be an artist. And that's how things progress. As you do one canvas, you get beyond that, you say, I've got a room with an easel and lights, but to get me in there is another story. But once you come to the point where you are working, things begin to happen both inwardly especially, because it's going to frighten you sometimes. I mean, that painting, I didn't want to show it at all. But I told someone that I knew very well, I said, don't edit the irrational. Because that has its purpose, the irrational.
I think I can answer your question, actually. I have the great fortune of living within a stone's throw of Alexis, so I get to see her, speak to her every single day, which has enriched my life immeasurably. And what I observe is that she is able to do all of these different mediums simultaneously. She doesn't go from, okay, I'm just going to, she doesn't do drawings for 9 months and then move on to acrylics and then move on to pastel. She does it all the time. Sometimes it's limited by what materials she has available, because as you know, they're expensive. And she'll run out of paint. She'll run out of the pastels. So then she's reduced to having to use pencil and charcoal. Right?
Yeah?
Yeah, and then
Exactly.
then you'll have an order, and money will come in, and you'll buy all these paints, and the next thing you know, she's doing canvases.
Again.
And it costs money to mount things. And so some of it is dictated by economics. But economics aside, she does all of this all the time. With fluidly, whether it's embroidery, crochet, sculpting, handwork, and canvases. It's all like, anytime I go in, I never know what she'll be working on when I walk in.
It's miraculous.
And she'll just show me, oh, see, here's what
I know, I
see
saw
what-
her working on one of her pieces, her
Yeah.
needlework, and not that one.
I know.
But-
Well, that one went to South Carolina
Did it?
this week.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On my website, there is a lot of, first of all, videos of talks that I have done. And second of all, a lot of my fiber art. And, yeah. Yeah, I live in silence. I do. I haven't heard Trump speak, and
That's a good thing.
I know. I wondered if it were good. It's proven to be.
There.
In fact, fact, the day after the election, Hasso and I were in my studio. She was doing a portrait of me with clay. We laughed our heads off. The day after the election.
Yeah, I own that.
Oh, that's good.
Here on my mantle.
I'm honored.
Now, this is going to be up for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, until the
And
30th.
so there will be many people coming through. I was coming along this afternoon and heard that there were some events here in the next couple of
Great.
weeks, and that's going to be really good, and we want to get the word out about this. I want to ask you, you know, I know you want to share this message everywhere you can, and
Well,
you want to give,
within, you know,
right,
propriety.
right, and you know, give hope to people who are
And
experiencing
also
this.
explain it to those who are, you know, oh my goodness, schizophrenia, psychotic.
Right.
But again, you know, like, the mountain comes to Muhammad, and no wine before it's time. And when it's time, it'll be. It'll be when it's time. And each of us can say that about our own lives.
I've been moved.
Yeah.
I have to say, Alexis, the one you didn't want to show is the one that's been captivating me.
I
the
love
whole time
this
I've been
one.
here.
Do you
But,
want to, you want to talk about that?
Well, there's a part of me that,
You don't
I'm
have
glad you brought
to.
it.
You don't have to.
no, don't edit the irrational. There's a part of me that has learned to let things like that happen. And that it's not mine to judge. Vincent, I was born the day before he was, at exactly the same time, 12 midnight.
Really? Vincent Van Gogh?
Vincent. These are Vincent's chair. I found a little wicker chair in an antique shop somewhere, can't remember where. And it was $5, so I picked it up. You know, and there it was, Vincent's chair was in my living room. And like I said, I talked to Kandinsky, I talked to Brancusi. I love it. And then that brings up something about the contemporary scene, quote unquote. The Emperor's New Clothes. I went to a museum very infrequently lately. I spent my life at the Met when I was in New York. And I stood in front of a Cezanne about 10 years ago. And I could feel his dismay at what is happening to art. That's right. But again, truth will win. Truth. True beauty. True beauty. What can I tell you?
Well, thank you for the reminder too tonight, and just of the importance of how much we kind of fight and struggle and battle, but there's the other side that I think maybe doesn't get as much attention that you referenced, is also going for forgiveness and surrender, and how important that is in the mix.
Well,
Thank you for that.
I don't know what makes a person do bubbles. You know, Michael Jackson and his monkey, and sell it for $5 million. I don't pay attention to that. Neither do I pay attention to Trump. The sun rises at exactly the right time. The pyramids are within centimeters of perfect alignment. The Egyptians lasted 5,000 years. Let's see what else. The Buddha. That's where I put my attention. This is a tempest, but the sea is very, very deep. And at the bottom of the sea is very quiet. But on the surface, there are horrible storms. If you see it as an expression of life, expressing itself in you, that's what gives you the strength to experience it. Let it be. Let it happen. Don't fight it. The only way out of it is through it.
Thank you.
I've got a thought. Okay, if everybody makes a donation and there's enough money, whatever picture one person wants, that they, if they can afford it with the donation.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful.
Well,
If anybody wants something and they are not able, I want people to have what they would like.
so the donations will start. Oh, we are there.
And you take home, Brian, what you'd like.
Yeah, very good.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful.
You inspired this evening a non-artist to go home and at least get out a crane.
You need papers.
But
And then you go to paint.
yes,
And
yeah.
then you go to clay.
But just in view of like, thank you for your words, Alexis, because I think we all gain from that. So I think, let's invite ourselves to continue to just enjoy what's around us and chat with Alexis as she spends time here and get back over the next couple of weeks if you want to and bring friends. See you. Thank you.
Is this space